Following their 2-1 win over Tottenham on Saturday, Newcastle made it 5 wins from their last 5 games in the Premier League and suddenly looked like a team that ready to compete for the top 4 in the second half of the season. There was a lot going on in this game, and much of it was down to the players missing from Tottenham's starting 11. But in this video, I'm going to focus instead on what Newcastle have been doing right over the course of the last few months, and why I think the return of one player in particular has really turned their season around. To no great surprise, that player is of course Sandro Tonali. After returning from his suspension at the start of the season, it took the Italian midfielder some time to get back to match fitness. Over the course of Newcastle's first 11 league games, the central midfielder started just 4 of his team's matches and didn't really nail down his starting position in Eddie Howe's side until the 1-1 clash with Crystal Palace in late November. Coincidentally, Newcastle haven't actually lost a game in all competitions when Tonali has started since the end of October when they lost 2-1 to Chelsea. However, the reason why I think they look so much better with the Italian midfielder in the middle of the pitch is down to the fact that it has allowed Bruno Guimarães to move back to his preferred number 10 position in Eddie Howe's team. As we saw against Spurs on Saturday, the Brazilian midfielder is back to playing a more attacking role for Howe's side. Not only did he set up Newcastle's first goal, but he was a constant threat with runs and passes into the Tottenham box. And that's what we've seen time and time again since Tonali returned to the team. For example, prior to Tonali properly returning to a starting role, Guimarães had managed just 1 assist and no goals at all in 12 league games. But since then, he's bagged 5 goals and assists in 8 league games. And when we dig a little deeper into the underlying stats, we can see further proof of the Brazilian playmaker playing a more attacking role for Newcastle. Alongside the improved goals and assists, Guimarães' key passes per game have also risen from 1.08 to 1.88 since Tonali started playing alongside him in the Premier League. In fact, the Brazilian midfielder actually made more key passes against Tottenham on Saturday than any other Newcastle player. But the stat that I think is really interesting is when we focus in on the amount of touches Guimarães is now making in the final third and the opposing box since Tonali returned to this team. As we can see in the graph, from matchday 13 onwards, there's a clear rise in the number of touches Guimarães has been making in and around the box. So much so that prior to Tonali's return to the team in a starting role, the Brazilian midfielder was averaging just 13.9 touches in the final third and box per game. But following the Italian's return, Guimarães is now averaging 22.3 per game, which works out at a massive 60% increase in touches for the Brazilian midfielder in attacking areas. To no great surprise, we've also seen Newcastle's attacking 3 of Anthony Gordon, Jacob Murphy and Alexander Isak thrive with the support of Guimarães in the final third. Not only has Murphy looked back to his best, and in return finally offering Newcastle a proper attacking outlet on the right wing, but Isak has also returned to form in front of goal. Prior to matchday 13, the Swedish striker managed just 4 goals in 12 league games, but since then he has bagged 9 goals in 8 league games. So as we can see, Tonali's return to the team has allowed Guimarães to move into the final third, and as a result, Newcastle's attacking line has clicked back into gear. But there's also the defensive aspect of Tonali's game, and that's played a crucial role in the team's impressive return to form over the last few months. In the last 5 league games, Newcastle conceded just 1 goal, and while much of that is undoubtedly down to the form of the team's defenders, it's worth noting that Tonali has quickly risen to the top of the team's charts for tackles and interceptions per game, and is now averaging more than any other midfielder in the team, aside from Sean Longstaff. While I'm not entirely sure I'd ever call Tonali a defensive midfielder, in fact, I'd probably say he's more of an underrated playmaker or deep line number 6 for Newcastle, there's no doubt that his presence in the middle of the pitch has certainly helped Newcastle's defence fix the holes and start picking up clean sheets in the Premier League. And alongside that, allowed Eddie Howe to move Guimarães up the pitch and fix that misfiring attacking line. Of course, there are tougher games to come for Newcastle in the coming months, such as the League Cup doubleheader against Arsenal, then Manchester City, Nottingham Forest and Liverpool in February. But before that, they have 4 games against teams fighting for relegation and surprise rivals for a top 4 spot come May. Howe's team couldn't have picked a better time to return to form, and while football is a team sport at the end of the day, when it comes to Newcastle surging back up the league table, a lot of it can be put down to the return of Tonali and his remarkable talents in the middle of the pitch.